It's for you. It's for you. Good afternoon and welcome. I'm choosing my words very carefully that I say today because this story goes back to about 1982 when I was in the corporate world doing my corporate training routine. One of my favorite training sessions to teach was about time management. And I could usually make it a very short session. They always like that because I could say, you don't manage time. It's easy to lose control of your time, and the only way to keep from losing control of your time is to control your behavior, to manage yourself. You don't manage time. And there is one word that causes you to lose control of your time more than any other word in the English language, and that word is hello. Right after the phone rings and you pick it up, and suddenly you're on somebody else's agenda. You're on their schedule, you're on their time. And I told folks to not answer their phone. In 1982, we had answering machines, a tape recorder that would record your voice and say, I'm not in my office right now, so you can leave a message and I'll get back with you as soon as I can. And that was one of the techniques that I taught managers to keep control of their time. So one day I'm sitting in my office, my telephone rings, and I violate my own prime directive. I pick up the red phone and say, hello. Fortunately, I did that because it was one of my friends that ran a record store in Atlanta, and he says, Rick, I've got a guy here that's got some Beatles stuff that you might be interested in. He wants more for it than I can, as a small store, he wants more money for it than I can afford to pay him and still make money on it, but you might be interested in it yourself. So I jump in my car and run up to the store and get there, and there's an old man there. He's about 65, 66 years old, and he tells me that he used to be a distributor for novelty items, all kinds of goodies, and he had a briefcase and put it up on the desk there at the store, and he started taking Beatle memorabilia out of it. Now, we saw a lot of this stuff a couple of weeks ago if you were watching the show I did about the rattle your jewelry. But a lot of these items were in his briefcase at that time. Some of the NIMS items here, all from this Initial company. The company called Initial is the name of the company that manufactured these. He had some tie clips with the unique cards that were made just for the tie clip. The lariat tie that he was made just for that item. The cufflink cards that was made with the just for the cufflinks, and all these little cards. That he was particularly happy with the fact that the lariats were was something that he sold, because he not only sold that variety of them, but he also sold a different variety of the lariat tie, and he had this one that he called a experiment, or a prototype, that he said they never really finished that manufactured. A lot of those, they were the final version was the one like this with the little scallops around it. So got those from him. He kept pulling things out of his briefcase there, out of the back package. Then he back panel of the briefcase, he pulled this beautiful card. This is a display card that would have been on the desk or at the point of sale in the stores in 1964, 65. He told me that he worked for this company for years and years and years, and had just retired. And this pen card, you can see on the back that it's got a little easel for it to stand up, so you can the customers could get easy access to them. And now it's time to reveal what I consider, obviously, and it should be obvious now, what is the biggest mistake that I've ever made in my collecting world? When he pulled this card, this pen display card, out of his briefcase, it was indeed full of pens. There were six black ones, 6 white ones, 6 blue ones, and 6 green ones, each in these little areas here that they're displayed like this. That was completely full. And there were most of the items that he had here, especially the ones that were on cards, there were 2 of each of those items in there. And so the capitalist in me said, I've got to, my dad used to say something about, if you're not making money, you're losing money. And I saw that as potential to recoup my investment. I eventually traded the group of pens and the duplicate cards like this for more than double what I actually paid for him. He asked for me initially. He wanted about what the equivalent of a week's salary that I was making with my job at that point. We negotiated down to about 70% of that, and I thought I got a good deal for that. The downside of that was, though, once I started parting with some of these pens, then the value really changed. But anyway, the net of that was a mistake that I made when I was making my collection. Something else that he pulled out of of one of the back panels was this beautiful little display card. That's a just the white area of this is the card that he was offering for. They would put that in the store windows advertising the pen, which actually was kind of strange because it's a different brand of pen. But anyway, that was part of his sales spiel. He advertising, associating the Beatles with pens and being able to sell the Beatle pens were part of their sales strategy, I suppose. Something else that he talked about being at this part of the sales strategy, he said that when this was very, very early going days in 1963, 64, when they first started selling these jewelry items, he said that when he was talking to the potential buyers for these things, that he wasn't really sure, the company wasn't sure that the people would know who the Beatles were, so they gave him a record to go with the items that he was trying to sell that had the same picture on the record as these cards that went with the merchandise. But oddly enough, it wasn't this one that he pulled out. The one he pulled out was this one, the Can't Buy Me Love picture sleeve. And if you notice this one, this looks like it has never had a record in it. If you look very closely, you can see from one like this that has had the record in it. I don't know if you can see it on the camera there or not, but there are some. You can see if you're a record collector, you know how to tell the difference in those things. So be able to see where the little record indentations have been made on this one and not on that one. Absolutely pristine Can't Buy Me Love sleeve there that he pulled out from that one. So once I saw that in the entire package deal there, certainly I feel like this is one of those stories that's got both the masks of tragedy and comedy in it, because it's a really wonderful thing, would put a smile on your face, but kind of a tragedy that I did a stupid thing and sold off some of those, or traded off actually some of those. Something else I want to show you today, though, it's kind of related to the display card, is one of the things that I wanted to do when if you saw the show that I was talking about, my mom putting all the goodies away for me that I had as a child, that inspired me to try to find the things that I did have as a child. I remember having the sunglasses, and the Beatles sunglasses have little decals on the edges that identify those as Beatles sunglasses. And something I found not too long ago was this piece of the display card that if you look very closely, you can see the little indentations on here, that easier to see on the back, that the sunglasses actually were inserted into those and displayed like that for sale. And I've got a picture here in Terry's NIMS book of the entire display card. And you can see that that's the center of that display card that was made available, and the person that was selling that didn't even really know what that was. It was just a picture of the Beatles that was up for auction there. So I added that to the collection. I like my collection is primarily the things that were sold over the counter at Woolworths and places like that. But when you can find some beautiful display cards and the ephemera that goes with it like that, can't pass those up. So hope you enjoyed this little story about good news, bad news, best of times, worst of times, and enjoy your holiday and whatever you're going to do with the 4th of July. Peace and love and science. Be safe out there. Next Tuesday, it's Ringo's birthday. It's Ringo's 80th birthday. So I thought what we will do is we'll go live at 11:55 on Tuesday, a.m., 11:55 a.m. So at noon, we'll be in the room looking at some images of Ringo and wish him a happy birthday, a happy 80th birthday. I'm excited about that. Beatles turns 80. Can you believe it? Again, peace and love. Be safe. Science.